knowledgeable and influential in our own region, in the person of Sanja MIOVCIC, who is the Executive Director of the Foreign Investor Council in Bosnia. Please feel free to write down your question while she speaks, or you can just put in your questions during the question and answer time. We'll be able to you can be able to ask questions, practical questions, and also we interact. And I want to encourage us to please mute our mics. We are all businessmen, yeah, so that there won't be any interruption going on. And so on that note, my name is Michael Dada. I will be anchoring this section. And when Sanja is through with her section, I will come in to continue, yeah, my own bit. Sanja, over to you.
Thank you, Michael. Well, dear ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure there are ladies on board as well. If not, Michael will have to work on that. So it is really my great pleasure, and I would like to welcome you all today to this gathering on exploring trade, business, and investment opportunities in my country, Bosnia and Herzegovina. It is a pleasure to be invited by you, Michael, and our organization for inviting me to share information. It is also a great honor, and I hope it's just the beginning of our fruitful networking, which will hopefully result in significant potential business and economic cooperation between Bosnia and Herzegovina and West Africa. For those of you who remember Yugoslavia and Tito, let me remind you that Bosnia and Herzegovina was one of the Yugoslav republics until 1992, when it gained its independence. Sarajevo is the capital city, most famous by hosting Winter Olympic Games in 1984, and unfortunately by civil war that took place in the 90s. You are, I believe, familiar with strong relations Yugoslavia had with African countries and significant economic cooperation that led to many infrastructure projects successfully implemented on African continent by our engineering companies. Many of them were actually from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Okay, before I start, I would like to share a video, because it's really hard to explain how beautiful country is. Let me show you. Just give me a moment. So what do I do here? I share.
That was nice.
Sorry if it has been too long, but
No.
I think we all miss traveling, and it's nice to see.
Yeah.
Sorry. My next.
Your next video.
Okay, my next video. Sorry if it has been too long, but I hope you enjoyed it. Why I played a video on tourism, not on some other investment potentials and sectors, is precisely because, of course, before pandemic, I've seen many tourists coming from Africa, from Nigeria specifically.
Wow.
Visiting Bosnia. So, you know, I don't know, a couple of years ago, it was unimaginable, but lately we've seen tourists really from all over the world, especially from Africa. So that's why I thought it would be interesting to share that as well. So let me, because we did not make any concept here, or, you know, just allow me to I don't know, to run the show in the way I see it. It might be interesting for the others. So as you saw, we are a small country on Balkan Peninsula with approximately 3.5 million inhabitants. I know from African perspective, it's like one street or parking place somewhere. But however, we are part of so-called West Balkan region, meaning that a potential investor in Bosnia would also have an easy access to a market of approximately 20 million people. It's still not a lot from your perspective, but given that we are at the doorstep of European Union, investing in our country or our region has many advantages. Mainly where we see those advantages are in availability of skilled workforce, good strategic position, and competitive operating costs. So transparent, predictable, and inclusive legislative process, rule of law, together with entrepreneurial spirit of our governments are key facts for creating good investment climate in our country and improving competitiveness. In order to give you more positive impressions about the country, besides the tourism, for those of you who are already packed their bags and want to visit us immediately, I have to tell you that for the majority of African countries, if not all, we do require a visa to enter into Bosnia and Herzegovina. However, if you already have a valid US or UK visa, you can enter our country without any additional requirements.
What about any of the European passports?
Sorry?
What about any of the European passports? The EU.
They don't need visa.
Already.
No, they don't need visa. Thank you for sharing brochure for investing in Bosnia and Herzegovina previously in a group. It will be very, very useful. It's prepared by a foreign investment promotion agency, state-owned agency, where I'm a board member as well. So I'm sure those of you who would like to investigate more about investment opportunities will find it very, very useful. So basically why one should invest in Bosnia and Herzegovina. So besides what I already mentioned is a key strategic location, between East and West on the doorstep of EU. And I already demonstrated those available natural resources and beauties. We have a long tradition in different industry branches, such as mining, metal processing, automotive, forestry and wood processing, tourism, textile, and food processing. We have abundance of industrial zones, attractive sites, and available production facilities, favorable legal environment, low tax rates, highly educated and price competitive labor force, stable domestic currency, which is called Bosnian mark, and pegged to euro. We have regional and bilateral free trade agreements, and of course EU perspective, because as you know, we are one of the candidates for EU membership. If you agree, I would introduce you now briefly with some legal facts when it comes to starting and doing business in Bosnia and Herzegovina. A brief legal overview. So generally, I have to mention that Bosnia and Herzegovina is one of the most fragmented countries in the world when it comes to its legal system and structural setup. So in order to stop the war in the 90s and to satisfy all those national parties involved, the country has been divided into two entities. One of them is Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, the other one is Republika Srpska, and one district called Brčko district. Altogether, we have 14 governments, and our legal framework is really, really complex. However, our legal framework does not discriminate against foreign investors. The state level loan, the policy of foreign direct investment, accords national treatment to foreign investors. They're entitled to invest in any sector of the economy in the same form and under the same conditions as those defined for local residents. There are two exceptions: the defense industry and some areas of publishing and media, where foreign ownership is restricted to 49%. The granted rights and benefits for foreign investors imposed by the respective law cannot be terminated or overruled by subsequently passed laws and regulations. If any of those laws and regulations are more favorable for foreign investors, they have the right to choose under which regime the respective foreign investment is to be governed. Also, there are several incentives for foreign investments, including exemptions from payment of custom duties and custom fees. So when it comes to incorporation of a business, by corporate law, it's primarily governed by those entities levels. Foreign investors wishing to establish a business presence in our country have an opportunity to incorporate a branch office or a representative office of the foreign company or establish a local company. There are four forms of business entities: unlimited joint liability company, limited partnership, limited liability company, and joint stock company. One of the reasons for investing in Bosnia and Herzegovina is its favorable tax system. We have one of the lowest rates of VAT in the region and Europe, as well as very acceptable corporate tax rates. They are also among the lowest in the region and Europe. So corporate income tax systems in our country have been harmonized in the past few years and are now on an identical level of 10%. The laws on corporate income tax also prescribe more detailed rules on the taxation of permanent establishments of foreign taxpayers. The VAT, value-added tax system, is centralized, and there exists a single VAT rate at 70%. The system is modeled after the EU VAT directive, and majority of general VAT principles are applicable, that are applicable throughout the European Union are also applicable in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We signed several free trade agreements which provide for preferential customs treatment of goods originating from the signatory countries. The most important free trade agreements include are signed with the European Union, Turkey, and CEFTA, multilateral treaty. CEFTA is Southeast Europe free trade agreement. Applicable in Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Macedonia, Moldova, and Montenegro, and the IFTA, a multilateral treaty applicable in Switzerland, Norway, Iceland, and Liechtenstein. Our labor law regulations are regulated on the entity levels. So therefore, the laws foresee different possibilities for engagement depending on the territory of the country. This include, of course, classic employment agreement, management contracts for director, CEO, or other representative, concluding an agreement on temporary and periodic work, service agreements, agreements of work out of the premises of the employer. Employees with foreign citizenship need to obtain work and residence permits before concluding employment contract and starting to work. From a potential investor's point of view, the main disadvantage of the existing labor laws are the protection of employees by the courts and the difficult conditions for canceling employment agreements. I already mentioned visa regime. So there are a significant number of countries whose citizens can enter Bosnia without any visa requirements. In the majority of cases, they're allowed to stay for 60 to 90 days in a period of 6 months. There are no specific or unusual conditions for getting visa approval compared to other countries in the region. One of the investment models that we always like to promote is public-private partnership. And our country's legal framework for public-private partnership is characterized by its fragmentation to several laws regulating this area at the entity and cantonal levels. altogether, if we're talking about pros and cons for investing in Bosnia, so when it comes to pros, it's, as I said, free trade agreements with EU and other countries, subsidies for investors, low tax rates. What's not such a positive thing is, as I said, complex government structures, time-consuming case proceedings, both court and administrative, high salary contributions, and difficult conditions for conciliation of employment agreement. Talking about employment, let me tell you that our monthly salary, net average monthly salary, is approximately 470-80 euros. And gross average monthly salary is approximately 750 euros. So I know I gave you a lot of information now at the beginning. Let me see what is your area of interest, or what would you like to know more? Or okay, there was a question. What is the cost of labor like there? I hope. Okay, I don't know if I have given some answers already to this question. For more information, let me share a link in a group that you're going to find very, very useful with legal requirements of investing. It's updated. I've checked it. So for those of you who wants to find out more, I'm sure it will be useful. There, that should be it. Okay, so Michael.
All right. Thank you so much, Sanja, for that. I think the question.